Hi, I'm Linda Illingworth, a registered dietitian at Life Wellness Institute in San Diego Sports Medicine. And today is our first follow-up for the Mediterranean Diet Challenge with some more tips and tricks to get more herbs into your diet. Herbs are packed with antioxidants and a great way to embrace more characteristics of the Mediterranean diet and work toward a more plant-centered way of eating. Herbs help us put a lot of flavor into food, not just antioxidants and nutrients. So today I'm going to show you a couple easy ways, kind of fun things to do. And first, one of the things that we talked about as a part of the Mediterranean diet is that keeping a vegetable garden is one of the characteristics of a Mediterranean type of lifestyle. And so I often encourage people to start with an herb garden. Herbs are virtual weeds. They don't like a lot of fuss. They don't need a lot of fuss. They're usually very drought tolerant and can be neglected for periods of time. So starting with something like rosemary that grows all over San Diego, super easy to grow. Chives are another really easy one. Chives are great because you just trim them and then they'll keep regenerating and regenerating. So just like other herbs. And then you can cut these and put them into your salads. And the nice thing about chives is they also have these beautiful little flowers and they're edible. So you can pull off the little petals and sprinkle them into, and they have this nice little oniony type flavor. So chives are easy. Today we're going to talk about a few different herbs. Rosemary, I've got some basil. We're going to make a magic sauce, which is a fantastic sauce by Heidi Swanson. So getting some good resources in your kitchen is also a great way to learn how to get more herbs into your diet. So Heidi Swanson is a great vegetarian cook. She was nominated for James Beard Award. She's got a couple of great cookbooks out and great recipes online and tons of free recipes online, which is where you'll find the magic sauce recipe that we're going to make today. And so before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about how powerful herbs are. So when we're looking at basil, there's a little basil leaf here. Basil has as much antioxidant and more vitamin A than kale. Now that's per 100 grams. So for equal amounts, that tells you that basil is just as good as kale. Kale has a little more lutein and zeaxanthin. And what's important about the vitamin A carotenoids, like beta carotene, lutein, and zeaxanthin, is that they give us some protection from the sun. They provide solar protection in the back of the macula in the eye. That's why where lutein and zeaxanthin get embedded, and protect from blue light damage, UV damage. So there's so many great ways to use them, and I'm going to show you a few of these today. So I often get asked, how do I keep herbs? They seem to wilt. You know, I don't want to grow them. I buy them at the store, and there are some that just don't do well here in San Diego summers, and basil is one of them. I struggle with basil. A lot of them grow quite well, but basil's not one of them, and cilantro is another one that's really tough in the heat, and they really tend to do better in the cooler seasons here in San Diego. So a great way to store them is in a Ziploc bag. Just rinse them off, clean them, and if there's, shake off the bulk of the water and then put them in the Ziploc bag. Now you're going to see that what hung out of the top is got limp, right? But the leaves inside the bag stayed nice and fresh. So that's a really great way to store herbs. Now, one easy way to add basil is to add it to pizza topping, or slice it and put it into salads, or gosh, where else can we put basil? Into pesto and pasta. So one of the ways that we can easily chop it up is there's a couple of ways. I like to roll it up. Just gonna roll it up like a little cigar. And then we're just gonna cut straight across. And I'm gonna change cameras so you can see what's going on. So you can see I rolled it up, and now I'm just gonna cut straight across, and this is called chiffonade. Oops, got my time in the way. And it's just gonna make these nice little rings of basil that look really pretty, can be sprinkled on top of just about anything. So this is a nice way to get a little bit into your meals. Maybe you're not a huge basil fan, or you have people that don't like a lot of herbs or learning to like herbs, because it can be a bit of an acquired taste. And this is a great way because you can just kind of sprinkle a few in. Someone could even pick it up and taste it, see if they like it, kind of thing. So that's one way you can use basil. The other herbs I have here today for the magic sauce that we're going to use is I have some oregano. Also marjoram is in the oregano family. So if you can't find oregano to grow and you see marjoram, those are absolutely interchangeable. In fact, many chefs prefer the flavor of marjoram over oregano. This is rosemary. Just snipped it right out of the garden. Thyme. My thyme is struggling a little bit in the garden, but we've got plenty for our dish today. And I crumbled up a basil leaf. And we're going to use some sweet paprika and a little bit of salt and some minced garlic. Now, the magic sauce recipe, which I can send out to you, it is on her website. You can look it up, but super easy, just takes a few minutes to put together, and the nice thing is you really don't even have to measure so much with it. So what I've done is the way this recipe starts is it starts with warm olive oil, and a lot of people say, well, why would I warm the olive oil? You know, olive oil isn't great, it doesn't hold up well to heat, and olive oil is okay under low temperatures, not a problem. And the acidity of the olive oil also affects how tolerant it is of heat. So as long as we're not boiling it or over simmering it, or you know, excessive time is also an issue. So I just have half a cup back here on the stove, and in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to muddle these herbs together. Now, I like to use a piece of parchment whenever I'm crushing herbs on a wood cutting board, because otherwise those volatile oils are going to get into your cutting board, and the next time you're slicing an apple on it, it's going to taste like rosemary or whatever, or chives or whatever it is that you cut on it. So stripping the herbs, this is just about a teaspoon of each of these herbs. It's not rocket science, so you don't even really need to measure, honestly. If you can estimate about a teaspoon, and that's about a teaspoon of rosemary, I'm going to use about a teaspoon, and just strip the leaves like this right off. So just put your fingers, grab the leaves, strip them down the stem. That's about a teaspoon of oregano, put a little more in there. And then the thyme, same thing with the thyme, we're just going to strip those little leaves off. Get some like so. So we have just about a teaspoon of each. And then what she wants us to do is we're going to crush those together. So what I like to use is just a flat glass. If you have a mallet that's flat, that's great. It's just kind of smushing them together. You want to crush the leaves so that they're going to release those oils into the olive oil. So magic sauce is magic because it goes on everything. You can drizzle it on eggs, on vegetables, on pasta. It's a great dipping oil. It's just a great marinade. You can put it on fish, chicken, drizzle it over some roasted potatoes is fantastic. There's really nothing it doesn't taste good on, especially if you like kind of an herby, garlicky, olive oil type of sauce. And the nice thing is too, you can strain out these leaves so you don't necessarily get these into the food, or you can pour it all in and let those leaves float around in whatever you're cooking. So that's about good enough. And now I'm going to get the oil. Okay, so it's just warm, and all we're going to do is just toss in the herbs. We're going to toss in the garlic, sweet paprika, and the salt. I'm going to give that a stir. Because this doesn't involve high heat, this would also be something great you could do with your kids. Get them in there mashing up the herbs, have them taste things, even if they don't taste amazing. It's a fun thing to do. If your kids aren't, you know, loving the herbs, it's still kind of a fun thing to do for them to try. Good conversation starter about nutrition as well. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And then pour it into a jar. Yep, that one has water in it. Let's try this one. And I like to scrape out every last little bit. magic sauce. It's just that easy. And just gonna want to cap that and put that in the fridge. And you can use it right away if you want, but it's all really better if it's in the fridge for a day or two, and it will keep for a couple weeks easily. It's just olive oil and the herbs. All herbs are antiseptic, antibacterial, many are antifungal. They also, in our bodies, when we consume them, the antioxidants are help prevent cancer cells from growing and help protect our cells from oxidative damage. So herbs are just a great thing to start to learn to work into your diet. So that's magic sauce. One other herb that's really interesting is sage. Now, sage has these fuzzy little leaves, and you may have seen different ways to use sage. You can actually take the leaves, tie them together, and then dip it in melted butter or olive oil and brush onto corn as you're roasting it. That gives a little sagey, buttery flavor or sagey olive oil flavor onto summer corn. But sage is very high in terpenoids, and the terpenes are, again, antibacterial, antiviral, help protect our cells from premature death and protect our cells from cancer cell growth. So the terpenes are the same things that you smell when you're in the forest that are so beneficial to our brain, to our cardiovascular health, and to our nervous systems as far as relaxing them. So sage is a nice one to grow. You may not use it as much, but there are some interesting recipes where sage goes into cakes or muffins. Again, you can put it into, it's classically known more so around Thanksgiving, into stuffing and things like that. But it's a beautiful plant you might enjoy growing. Oh, I realized I just forgot to put those bay leaves in. No harm, no foul. In they go. And we'll just swirl them around. And they'll be fine. All right, so one of the next things I wanted to show you is something else that's a little bit different. These are probably more in the superfood category. Well, one, let's start with hibiscus. So if you've never seen hibiscus flowers for hibiscus tea or jamaica, you may have seen it at a street vendor. It's these hibiscus flowers dried. It's not just the standard hibiscus growing in your backyard, so I wouldn't necessarily try making your own from that. But all you need is a couple tablespoons of this and a jug of water to make this beautiful tea. So it's great unsweetened. It's great with just a drizzle of honey or a slice of peach in it, or apricot. Cherries would be great in it, just to sweeten slightly if you want it sweetened. So I'm just going to put 2 tablespoons in here, and it may not look like it that much, but that's going to make a pretty strong hibiscus infusion. I'm going to put the lid on. I don't know if you can see it kind of sitting there on the top. And it's already starting to infuse into the water. Just going to give it a swirl. And then that's going to sit overnight. In the fridge is great. If you're in a hurry, you could put hot water over it and steep it more like you would a traditional tea. But that's all you need to do. And then in a few hours' time, like I said, you're going to have this very concentrated hibiscus tea that I like to dilute half water, half tea. And that way, a jar this size is enough for 2 people for easily 2, maybe 3 days. Hibiscus, the benefits of it are, again, you're seeing these beautiful colors. Anytime you're seeing the colors in a plant or a fruit, those are the antioxidants that you're looking at. And so if it's red or blue, we're really looking at proanthocyanins. And again, hibiscus has been shown to lower blood pressure in normotensive people as well as those with hypertension. So this would be a really great example as food as medicine, about how some of these foods that are consumed in various countries more traditionally that we don't really consume here in the US, but food as medicine that can be very helpful on a daily basis. Just eating the right foods can really improve your health in subtle ways that, taken all together, have very profound ways together. So that's hibiscus tea. And then last but not least, what I'd like to share is this vitamin C powder. Now this is another Heidi Swanson recipe, and again, this is on her, I believe this is on her website, 90% sure there. And what it does, it makes this beautiful powder from some specialty powders. Now these are not inexpensive, but a little goes a long way, and what you could do is, you know, invest with a neighbor or a friend, or this actually would be really nice gifts to give as well. So hibiscus powder is one ingredient, and there's about equal parts echinacea, which is a great source of vitamin C and also has some antiviral properties, some antibacterial properties. In some studies, echinacea has been shown to shorten length of the standard cold and also improve immune function. Pitaya powder, so a lot of you know this from some of the acai bowl places, like Everbowl and things. We can add or make it out of pitaya, make pitaya bowls, but this is the freeze-dried powder. And also this is rosehip powder, and again, a great source of antioxidants and vitamin C. So it's about equal parts of these. Heidi also likes to add in a little kick. She adds in a little cayenne to it, which is interesting. And you just mix it up in a small food processor. Sometimes they come a little chunky, especially the pitaya powder is a little bit sticky and the chunks need to be broken up. But once you make this vitamin C powder, you can then add it to a high quality honey, and that's how I like to use it. I'll either use the powder alone in a smoothie or an acai bowl, or I will, I often mix a little bit of, a couple tablespoons of this into the honey. I get as much in there as I can without it feeling too gritty, and then I might use that to spread on toast or other, put in a little oatmeal or something like that. It also would be really great kind of drizzled over maybe like a non-dairy or dairy ice cream too, because it's a nice treat. But that's a great way to boost the vitamin C intake and getting, again, those beautiful anthocyanins that are packed, which are antioxidants. So it's a really nice concentrated way to get it into your diet. Let's see, did I forget anything? I think another good resource for you. Last thing I'll share is the True Food Kitchen cookbook by Dr. Andrew Weil. So Dr. Andrew Weil is the founder of integrative medicine, and he is an avid nutrition advocate. And so he was involved in developing the True Food Kitchen restaurants and played a really important role in that. So he's got the True Food Kitchen cookbooks, and there's some recipes online. And this is a great example of the Mediterranean diet. It's very plant forward, uses dairy in moderation. We see a lot of herbs. We see a little less animal protein, working in more beans, and a great variety of vegetables. So if you're looking to move your diet a little more toward the Mediterranean side and learn more about it, these are great resources for recipes that can really be helpful. So I hope that was helpful today, learning how to put herbs into your diet. Thanks for joining me.